hot water's going. What's up, guys? It's Bobby Taylor and our special guest Tony today with East Carolina Brides. What's up, guys? How's everybody doing?
Doing good, man. Doing good.
All right. Yeah. Trying not to let the house come down on us here. We're kind of crammed in here, so we're gonna have a good time though. Got Tony, who's longtime manager. When I first started, he was here in sales, and of course Taylor's dad. So this is like a really special event in my mind. I feel like I'm a third wheel here, but but we're gonna have a good time. And right now we're coming off a pretty good high. We had a great Monday after a weekend that was not so great. But we were just talking about it before you got here, Taylor, about like how it can just be so hit or miss sometimes in the car business, but sometimes things just start rolling.
Yeah. Saturday was rough. Come down out of the morning meet and saw a customer on the lot and was like, all right, we're going to have a good day.
Right.
And that was it.
Yeah. Like everybody was enjoying the weather or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But Tony, you got any idea what can cause something like that? You got any ideas?
No, you've been doing this for some time, and you just don't know what causes a Saturday to be so vacant and so empty. And then on Monday, you think everybody's going to be at work. It's going to be a struggle, and all of a sudden, you got people everywhere. You can't even get enough people to go out and greet them and help them because you got so many people there, and so much energy. The energy completely different. It's just, so people come in. I come to buy a car today. No questions, no nothing. I just come to buy a car today. You just had that guy that you had was looking at the truck. Says, I'm here to spend $30,000. Your guy says, I want to test drive it. And, the guy's like, man, I got $30,000 and that's the truck I wanted. And then boom, he spends $42,000.
Right. They were determined they were going to buy it today. So $10,000 more, sure.
So it's just crazy the way it happens, man. And then your guy comes back and says, I want a Jeep.
Yeah, completely different. I was like, yeah, I didn't ride it. I don't like the way that rode. It's a truck. Are you kidding me? It's wild, man. I felt bad, but at the same time, I was like, I got out there just in the nick of time. I remember, and this happens in the car business a lot, where things just happen like right in that instance where if you didn't leave out and go do something right there at that moment, you would not have bumped into that person, or you wouldn't have stopped that person from going on the test drive, where you have that customer in your office, you just happen to have the key, the other person's looking around for the key like, where is it?
Yeah.
Well, that basically is what happened in that instant. It was like, and it was, unfortunately, it worked out, but it was kind of a negative just for our, salesperson Karen, who was trying to sell the truck, But, sometimes things just kind of fall together. It's crazy how sometimes it happens like that.
It is, man. It is. And then, Taylor was saying yesterday, we were talking, he said, man, he had a couple of customers, and he said, man, it's crazy how you go out here and you just, everybody else customers in mind. He said, it's like I walk out and look and say, you buying a car today? You're not? Okay, I want to help you.
Yeah. Pretty much how it happened too.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of how I felt. Except for they didn't tell me outright on Saturday. It would have been nice if they just told me, "Yeah, I'm just kicking tires." But instead, they wasted an hour and a half of your time. And they're like, "Okay, well, see you
tell
never."
You at the end. But if they tell you at the beginning, then they don't get that service. Then
Admittedly, I mean I can see from the consumer side that if you're shopping, you're trying to get information, and of course we get the bad rap of being the liars, But customers lie so much. They lie so much to us, and they'll lie through the whole thing. Yeah, I'm going to do something today, and they're like, you know what? I'm going to think about it. And then they, like in my customer's instance, didn't even want to give me their phone number. Didn't even want to give me their phone number. I'm like, I just spent an hour with you.
Yeah. It's crazy. And you go one of those days, man. You got days like you just said, don't want to give you your phone number, don't want to do nothing. Making, offering you $30,000 for a car you got priced at $40,000, and you wonder where are they coming from? And then you got days like yesterday where people are like, yeah, I want to buy that car. I want to buy. And one woman, man, just, did y'all hear the woman that just, when I told her she was getting a Durango and she just hollering and shouting. You
Oh
heard her?
yeah, absolutely.
I didn't hear that.
You talking about raising some excitement.
Alejandra said she jumped into the car though when he pulled it up.
Yeah, it was. I thought something had happened. Like, I thought she fell over or something. She was falling over herself to make that deal happen.
Yeah.
Good gracious.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's the thing we talk about all the time is the excitement.
Oh man.
It just makes people want to. They're like, you know what? I want a piece of that. You know, it's amazing how it's infectious like that.
Well, think about what it does for you to, as a
Yes, you
person,
will.
when you help people that think they can't get a car. What does that do for you?
Yeah, I mean, it boosts your morale and everything else. Like, it gets you,
Absolutely.
you know, I mean, it energizes you to a degree. I mean, it just, you know, so it's a good feeling. It's a really good feeling.
It's something that we don't talk about a lot in this business is that we really do change people's lives sometimes, and it's kind of a. I won't say it's thankless because the people do appreciate it.
Yes.
But it's something that a lot of people don't realize in the car business. We have an emotional attachment to these people.
Yeah.
It warms our hearts, you know, when
Yeah.
something like that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is
For sure. I mean, it's some. I heard somebody say one time that like you can, you run into like one bad deal, and it just kind of clouds your thoughts, and that's kind of the thing. That's like you run into one. I don't want to say bad customer, but like a bad situation with a customer,
Sure.
and then it just clouds your thought of all the good stuff that comes with the car business. That you know, all the good days of like yesterday, that woman hollering because she had a Durango.
Yeah.
You know, so. But there's a lot more good than bad, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
That's what keeps us in it.
Yeah.
Well,
You might have a bad street for a while, and you think to yourself, I'm going to make the right choices.
Yeah. So you've been in the business how long now? 30, 40 years? 50? You sold a 14? Ford Model T?
Came up, boom, ready to sell.
No, 30 years. My wife, I've got out a couple of times. My wife's, he just can't stay out of it, and it's a fulfillment. It's yesterday watching people change their lives, watching people come in, and I tell people, I've always told people, I didn't when I got in the car business. It was man, I want to make money, I want to make money. But the more I was in it, the more I realized if you're in the car business to make money, you probably ain't gonna make it. I'm not saying that you're not going to make money, but you're not going to make it because you're hunting the wrong thing. When you have people like yesterday, and then on top of yesterday, I'm sitting there working, and we're covered up. And this lady walks in with a mask. I don't know if y'all were up there.
I saw.
This lady walks in with a mask and hands me a bag, and there's a butt cake in there and a bag of chips. And and she says, we just want to thank you for what you've done. All I've done is sold those people a car,
Right.
and sold her daughter a car, and
I thought she was a banker.
Yeah, there are a lot of thankful bankers that walk in.
I thought she was. I didn't know she was a customer. Well, cool. I mean, that's cool.
Yeah.
I sold her daughter a car, and it was a salesman used to work here. He was here for about 2 weeks, and we were busy one Saturday. He went out and up there and didn't know what he was doing, learning, and I kind of took it over. And her daughter had a battery problem or something, and we got it fixed. And she was just very thankful. And she's been thankful. They don't come in here without coming up and saying, "Hey, how you doing?" And speaking to me. And those are the things, man, that continues to pay you after you spend the money.
Right.
Yeah, it's amazing how many bunk cakes. No, I'm just joking. the warm feeling, though. Obviously, I'm joking. It's much more that emotional connection, and I mean, little treats aside, those things. I mean, they. It's hard to replicate. I don't know any other business that's that way where you have such a connection with people. But our cars are really, literally like tied to our lives.
Yeah.
And it's a super important thing in a town like Greenville. I mean, when it comes to public transport around here, it might as well be non-existent. If you want to get around town here, without paying a $20 Uber every time you want to go to the store, you got to have wheels.
Yeah.
You gotta have something to drive.
Right.
But I'm grateful for this business, and Tony, I'm grateful you're our manager, man. You really know how to work the desk. Your experience It really does, and I don't want to like blow your head up or anything, but I mean, having somebody at the desk that knows what to do, they see the situation. What would you say over time has kind of developed your ability to recognize when you got a deal?
One, you listen to the customer. You know, I try to, you know, that's why when people come up, I ask them all the questions. You know, because a lot of times we look at credit, and these people can't buy nothing. Their credit, they haven't paid their bills. You know, but when you begin to listen to the customer and you begin to look into the deal, you begin to realize there's more to the story than you know, that low credit score.
Right.
That's why when people come in here, like the lady yesterday, that's why when people come in here and you look at it and you, well, maybe this is an angle, that's an angle. Knowing your banks and knowing what to do with those lenders, you know, there's something here. And when you look at a deal and you don't see anything, you know, you don't see anything and you hand it off quickly, you miss something. You don't just miss something as far as selling that car. That's the minimal of it. But you miss something as far as affecting those people's lives.
Right.
You know, one of our salespeople had a customer the other day. Well, it was Valentine's Day. I wasn't even here, and not, you know, I just weren't here, and I didn't know anything about it. And so another salesperson brings it up because the other salesperson marked it lost, and so the other salesperson brings it up, and I says, "Hey man, we give it a try. Let's see." And we wound up getting the customer approved. You know, that you know, that we didn't think was there. The salesman didn't think was there. Whatever the case was.
Right.
Didn't think it was there. Yesterday, Alejandro was trying to tell this lady buy. You know, I'm trying to buy a $20,000 car. I'm trying to do this, and he's trying to tell her buy. You know, because he didn't have a $20,000 car. She ain't gonna buy nothing today. You know, both incidences, those people live in cars, and it changed their life.
Yeah.
Karen, who sold the lady, because the salesman marked it lost. You know, Karen, she's had 3 customers back because of that. You know,
Sometimes it takes that extra effort, you know, and I think that is a really important point. Is that it can't just be the sales manager. The salesperson has to do a lot of investigating and digging and asking the right questions, not just asking the basic stuff like, "Hey, what's your down payment? Here's your credit app, and are you trading anything?" You know, that, I mean, that's, if everybody could do that, everybody would be in the car business.
Yeah.
If it was that simple, you know, but it's not. You really have to dig down sometimes, and you got to give it some effort.
Do you feel like a tape recorder out there whenever you're talking to all the salesmen and they come up and you ask them the same question? And they have to just, like, every time, just about, they have to turn around and go back to the desk.
You know, the flip side, yeah. Those questions I just mentioned is like, oh yeah,
I feel like
we're going to ask those
Well, I'm
questions.
standing over there just having a conversation with them, and I hear the same question: "How much money are they putting down?" I don't know.
Yeah.
Are they trading anything? I don't know.
I promise it doesn't take 10 years in this business to remember those questions. You just got to remember them.
But in the moment, yeah, I think you kind of forget.
Yeah.
Maybe as a beginner, you know.
That's true.
I remember watching a salesman have a customer come in and they ask him what's the lease special or whatever, and his first thing was like run straight to the desk, and I was like, well, ask questions, like, you know what I mean, like, you know. So I started asking that guy questions, and I was like, oh, I'm looking to trade this Corsair in. I got a, you know, there's a payoff on it, and so I called him from the desk and was like, hey man, like, this is going on. Get that information so you can just go up there and be like, hey, this is what I got, instead of saying, hey, what's the lease specials? You know, because you're going to get 1,000 questions.
Yeah.
Is what you're going to get in
No doubt.
response.
Yeah.
You know, so.
But you do sound like and you're right, it does sound, you know, it's like a recording. And people come up and you ask them the same question. You know, you just left 30 minutes ago with another customer. And I think what happens, man, I just asked you the same question. But I think here's what I think what happens. I think they get in the movement of, I want to find out if this customer can buy, and if they can't, I want to move to the next customer.
Right.
You know, and I get that because I've been in that position. At the same time, you know, what I have to remember is I'm about to affect these people's life in one way or another.
Right.
You know, I'm about to impact their life in one way or another. Either I'm going to send them home in a car, or I'm going to send them home not in a car, and they're going to go across the street. you know, they're going to go down the road. And somebody's, and when this is about a relationship. Yesterday, let's use it yesterday, for example. You know, the lady brings me a thing, but then I've got a retired police officer just standing there. I mean, we got 15 salesmen, or 10 salesmen, 12, whatever, I mean, there. And everybody's not busy, but he won't leave my desk.
Right.
You know, he's just standing
He's
there.
glued there, yeah.
You know, and finally he says to me, he says, you know, he'd worked with Charlene. He said, man, I can't wait for Charlene to come back. And he says, you know, she's sick, she's out, I can't wait for her to come back, man. I got to do something.
Yeah.
And then he says, you know, just tell your son to help me, you know. And he said, have your son to help me. And so, you know, so I called Taylor over there and I said, hey, just, you know, I need you to help Chris. Chris is buying a car, you know. He's buying a truck. We're going to get it this morning, you know.
Yeah.
It's just that relationship. But he you know, it was kind of, you know, I know you, I'll
Right.
deal with you,
Yeah.
you know, and I'll deal with your son. Maurice is another one. You know, Maurice pulls in here in a white Charger, just getting his oil changed, and ain't got no clue of selling, but a relationship that we built with him
Right.
leaves out of here in a $100,000 truck.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's something we cover a lot on this show. The relationship side of the business is the biggest aspect. That's why it's the first letter in our values.
Yeah.
You know, the ride, and you got to stay. You got to have the integrity, or your relationship's going to crumble anyways.
Yeah.
And you know, our values, I think, in this room, many ways, I think align very well with, you know, what Chip has set out to be. You know, our motto. You know, that we got to take care of people. We got to stay disciplined, and ultimately aim to be excellent at what we do. And it's not an overnight thing. You know, to stay disciplined. We talk about it in the morning meetings. You cover it a lot because we do have a lot of young salespeople.
Yeah.
And it's tough trying to pound it into their brain. And I remember in my early days, even though I'm kind of like, you know, I act like I was goody two shoes. You know, I did stuff that won't in line. You know, I would go outside of off the rails. You know, and it cost me money. You know, it's ultimately what it does. And when we talk about those things in the meeting, it's ultimately to make people better, so that they can make money to support their families. And you know, I think following that road to the sale is just one step into being successful in this career. It's ultimately about building those relationships and treating people right.
You know, Bobby's probably better at that because, see, I'm one of those people that in 30 years in the car business, somebody says something to me about integrity or makes it seem like we're lying to them. You know, I stand up and tell them, you know, listen, man, we're integrity, we're people of character, we're not lying to you, you know, and I just call it out. Of course, you know, on Bobby, you know, Bobby's one of those people that just kind of, you know, kind of says it a little more nicely, where I'm just.
Ain't no way y'all two are related, right?
Bobby said the other day, the guy says, man, they give me $39,000 for my truck. You know, so Brian says, Bobby, the truck went for 38 brand new. You need to go over there and show them the MSRP. And so I would have went over there and I said, man, this car went for $38,000 brand new. Ain't nobody give you no 39 a year later. You know, so, but Bobby's response is, well, he ain't really no need to calling him out like that. That ain't gonna solve nothing. That ain't gonna really resolve nothing.
Yeah, we're only about 10 grand apart, sir, but you know.
And I just call him out, man, ain't nobody give you $39,000. Take over 38 brand new. But Bobby's like, you know, I just tell him bye.
I'll lather them up a little bit before they leave. Maybe they'll slide back in here a couple of years and they've even got their equity.
Yeah. See, I'm like, I guess that's where we're similar, me and him, because it's like, I'm like, nah, I gotta let him know that he just lied to me. I just gotta call that out.
So it's just, you know, man, and I've just learned, man, and we have to learn over the course of the years. You know, if you're going to hold me accountable as a professional sales manager or salesperson, then I'm going to hold you accountable as a customer. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm going to hold you accountable as a customer. If you expect me to tell you the truth, I expect you to tell me the truth. Mm-hmm. You know, and I've just got to the point that, you know, I just tell you, you know, hey, you said this. I didn't say it.
Right.
You said if I do this, you know, that you would do it. And I've done it, and now you're backing up. So now, you know, we're people of integrity.
Yeah.
And there's times we've lost money because of things that we've said. You know.
Yeah, we gotta stick to our word. We said we may be losing on this deal, but
Yeah.
we done said it now. We hadn't even written it down. We've said it. That's how close to the line we are on our integrity.
Yeah.
Is that we don't just write it down and say, okay, well, because you took a picture of it and you got it saved, we're going to do it. When we say we're going to do it,
Yeah.
we do it.
Even if it ain't on the we-up. I mean, there's many times where
Right.
customers have come in and been like, well, you know, such and such said this. And
Yeah.
Brian goes and gets such and such, and he's like, did you say that? And they're like, yeah.
Right.
He's like, all right, you know, this is where we're at.
And, you know, we do what we say, and you know, it's an important part of who we are. You know, it's an important part of who we are. And the thing is, if our customers can't trust us, you know, then how can we trust each other?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because it's a
How
two-way
often are they
street.
going to come back?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you go in and you lie to one person, and you could have the best relationship with that person. Sometimes all it takes is that one time, you know, and it's tough that it's like that in life. But I'm kind of that way too. If somebody lies to me, you know, once that line's been crossed,
Yeah.
it's hard for me to forget. I can forgive, but I probably ain't gonna forget. You know,
The question is, how many lies do you have to tell to be a liar?
right? Yeah.
It's a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And I guess, you know, there's in the car business, I get used to it. You know, I don't let it bother me because it's kind of sad to say, but I kind of expect people to lie to me.
Yeah.
Until they get to know me a little bit, then they're like, you know what, maybe I should be straight up with this guy. He's being straight up with me, and eventually the truth comes out. You know.
It does bleed through after a while.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And I mean, we're kind of like detectives, anyways. We're gonna find out.
yeah.
yeah. I mean, we had a deal not long ago, you know, and they give the guy too many rebates. It's actually your customer.
Mm-hmm.
You remember I told you, I said, we give this guy a rebate. You know, you remember I told you about the Stellantis loyalty cash guy buying the Jeep trading in the Honda.
Oh my gosh,
And I
yeah.
was like, where's this guy's, you know, where's this Stellantis car? Where's his Jeep? Wrangler. Bobby said, he ain't got that. I said, we give him a rebate. And Bobby says, well, he ain't got one.
Yeah.
And I said, man, you need to make sure. He said, I'm pretty sure. And I thought he had bought a ProMaster before. And Bobby said, nah, man, that was a Ford Transit. I said, oh, man. So, you know, and Chip asked me, so what are you going to do? I said, man, give him a rebate. I said, well, you can't take $1,000 from the guy. I mean, you know, we give it to him. He didn't
Right.
ask us
His
for it.
mistake.
Yeah, we give it to him.
We'd already agreed.
And,
Yeah.
you know, so we just lost $1,000.
Yeah.
You know, and
But it ain't gonna be the last car he buys from us.
No,
You know, and I think that's ultimately worth the sacrifice. 99% of the time,
Yeah.
it ain't always.
I've had a similar instance where a customer bought a it's a huge company here in Greenville. He bought a ProMaster, or I can't remember if it was that or a 2500, but when he bought it, the manager had him write out the check for about $1,500 less than what the out the door was. I don't know how that mixed up became, but he wrote the check out for, and he was like, he said, I asked the manager, like, are you sure this is the amount? And he was like, yeah, that's the amount. And so the guy left, and, you know, Brian was like, man, we got to get another $1,000. And finally, I was like, Brian, like, you know, do we really want to hound this guy for $1,000? Like, he's got a big company.
Right.
And he was like, well, he's like, tell him to give us all 10s on the survey, and we'll count it even.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, he's probably bought 7, 8 more trucks from me since. I mean, he calls me about once or twice every year. Hey, man, I need this.
Right.
So, I mean, sometimes
It's amazing how that works. You know.
Yeah.
It's not like we're trying to buy their business, but just doing the right thing is enough. You know, for them to realize, hey, these people are great to do business with, and I want to keep supporting this family-owned business, this individual that I know. You know, it's not like we are Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep. We're representatives of them, but at the end of the day, you know, we're supporting ourselves. We're supporting our families, and we have to. Well, it all comes down to selling ourselves. You know, we we end up really just kind of putting ourselves on the line to move some metal. Sometimes it seems like we're, I don't know. it sounds almost sacrilegious to say we're selling ourselves, you know, but it's a part of it, you know. They're buying into our brand, and I'm continuously trying to make it better. This show is a big reason why I wanted to continue to grow me and Taylor's brand, because we've been in the business a long time. I think this show, with conversations like we're having, I really hope that sometime soon we get people watching this so that they can see who we are behind, you know, the day in, day out sales stuff. That we care, you know, we care, and that's what I think makes us great at what we do. So I don't know how long we got. We've been on it for a little while. We probably need to get close to wrapping it up, but
So quick, I do want to ask a question though for him.
Yeah.
Because you've been in the car business since I was a baby. 91, 92?
Yes, about 30 years, probably
30
30
years.
plus years. Yeah.
So, and you've been pretty much all over North Carolina, or Eastern North Carolina, I would say.
I was in Raleigh for a while, Lumberton for a while, now here. So yeah, we've been around. Yeah.
And then Red Springs.
Yeah, Red Springs, Lumberton, yeah.
And it's crazy that you were in. So Red Springs is like how many people would you say live in Red Springs?
Oh man,
15
Red
20,000
Springs,
people?
yeah,
Like that
probably
much?
15,000 people, yeah. Much
It's
smaller.
not big. And how many
That's
cars?
small town.
How many cars were you pushing, or the dealership pushing?
So we were
At the store
we
you
were
were
in
at.
Red Springs, probably 15, 20,000 people, small area, and we sold 250 cars, 260, 75 cars out of Red Springs every month,
Yeah.
consistently every
Yeah.
month.
gracious.
Yeah.
And I worked on Saturdays as the detail guy for a little bit, like a
Okay.
small portion. Let me tell you something.
I didn't know
bud.
that.
Let me tell you something. I showed up late one day. I never showed up late again. But son, the amount of cars that would come through, and I would have to, because I was the only one there.
Oh,
And I would have to wash these cars and clean them up. Oh man, it was insane. But my question is, you've been in the car business since the 90s. Now it's 2026. So what's that, 40, 50 years? Like, oh, for,
Like 40 years.
30 some years?
30, yeah.
30 plus.
yeah.
So what's some of the big changes that you have seen since 19 whatever in today's time, or maybe even in the mid 2000s? Have you seen a great deal of changes? I mean,
The root of it is pretty much the same. You know, everybody talks about you know, you're going to get to the point that you ain't going to need salespeople. I don't never see that coming. I think you're going to always need, because my philosophy, my belief is we don't sell cars. I sell people. We sell people. If people ain't going to buy me, they're not going to buy a car. You know, Grant Cardone says, if they're not going to buy you a Pepsi, they're not going to buy. If they're not going to buy you a $1.50 Pepsi, they're not going to buy a $50,000 car from you. You know, so you sell yourself. The change that I've seen mostly in the car business is technology, and I say that by now, people come to used to in the 90s, they come to the car, they come to the lot to pick up the car. Now they come to the lot to pick up the car because they've been online, they've shopped. You know, even the negotiation part, it's hard to change that. A lot of people will say, well, you know, we're going to get to the point that we're not going to negotiate, and CarMax is going to change the atmosphere, and Carvana is going to change the atmosphere. AutoNation years ago was one they're going to change the atmosphere because they're not negotiating. And you do go to those places, they don't negotiate, but people still want to negotiate. They still want you. They still want to haggle with you, even when you tell them this is my best price. They want to haggle. There's always more. There's always more. The thing that I see changing differently is internet. People going on the internet, looking on the internet, shopping your price. Used to, people shop the price from here to Bob Barber to Brown and Wood. You know, you got people walking in now telling you, I seen a car in Louisiana for $10,000. Yeah, flipping Louisiana, man. I mean,
It's a different market, bud.
you know,
It's true.
you know,
Very true.
So that's what we're running into now versus what we run into in the 90s. In the 90s, man, it was easier because there was no pricing out there.
Right.
You know, people come up. I didn't even have a price on a car. You know, hey, how you doing? Welcome to East Carolina Cross Country Jeep. You know, what can I show you today? Man, I'm interested in that Jeep Wrangler right now. What are you asking for that thing? I don't know, man. Let me get the keys. We'll take a look at it. I just want a price. Well, I didn't even know the price. You know, how am I going to give you the price? I don't know the price. You know, and I'd go in and ask for the price. Hey, she wants to know the price on that Jeep. Has she drove it? No. Have they looked in it? No, they just want a price. Okay, as soon as you drive it and tell them all about the Jeep, we give them the price. That'd be better an hour before they get the price.
It's wild to think about because nowadays the person like, you gonna tell me the price? Nah. Okay, no problem.
Yeah, and they pick up their phone.
Yeah.
And you don't want them on your phone because then they're going to bounce around from dealership
Right.
to dealership.
They done seen 20 just like it, and a search it took them 5 seconds.
And the crazy thing is, guys, is in the 90s, price was ranked 16 or 17 in the most important values of buying.
Mm-hmm.
Today, price is ranked number 15 or 16. Right?
It's wild. It's wild. Ain't nothing changed. Ain't nothing changed.
The value of pricing has never changed. It's just that when people come, it's just, what's the price? What's the price? What's the price? It is still the person, it's still the product. If they don't like the person and they don't like the product, their price doesn't matter. But it's still ranked there. Technology, man, is the biggest thing. Getting online, being able to shop all over the world. How many times have people said to you, we got a guy got mad with us the other day. It's crazy. From Texas.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to know the price of the car. We give him the price of the car. He says, well, what would it be out the door? We added his state taxes
Right.
and his legal fees and stuff and sent it to him. And he calls back mad with us. I don't appreciate you putting all them fees in my deal. But the fees in the deal.
The state of Texas gonna get that.
And you got some more, people seem to be a little more not as reasonable as they did then. Used to, you could kind of, but now, how many times you go to your desk and you come back and somebody's looking at a car in Virginia or looking at a car somewhere else just like yours? That didn't happen.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks they're an expert now because they got tools.
Well, you got TikTok, and you got, I think there's a guy on TikTok, his name's Delivered. I don't know if you ever heard of that name, but his whole thing is he shops for customers.
Oh, okay.
You pay him $1,000, and he'll call around to the dealerships and
Right.
get you, as close to whatever asking price you're looking to be at on a vehicle. But I know we don't do that. That's not a thing that we do. But there are dealerships that have insane markups on vehicles.
Right.
Like they're looking at you could be looking at a vehicle online and it says $20,000. By the time you get done with tax and admin fee, for us, you're probably looking at 22.5, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
After tax admin fee.
Yeah.
Some dealerships, you call them, and all of a sudden you're at $28,000.
I got this addendum and this addendum.
Yeah,
and this
you got all
fee.
these addendums. So that's the benefit of Delivered. He calls these dealerships, but my thing is, like, you're calling the dealerships with the add-ons. Like, not every dealership has those addendums.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, not every like, we don't have those addendums. We don't have a $1,500, $2,000, $3,000 addendum on the vehicle,
Yeah.
which I think is great for these kids. Like, we have 348 will
Much more transparent,
Absolutely. So I wonder if that's a part of what that guy's thinking in his head. Like, oh, you got all these add-ons, and he's not even understanding what the actual add-on is versus what you have to pay.
Personally, just because of the nature of humans, we all just want to win a little bit. And I think if somebody feels like they're winning, that they've done a good job buying something. It's
Yeah.
like waiting for that sale, on a calculator. I don't know, it could be anything. But you got your eye on it and you're spending, it could just be a fraction less than what, it's listed at. But having that, it's almost euphoric, to win in that battle and save that little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that's what doing business with our dealership versus Carvana or CarMax or whatever is. That, I mean, there's sometimes you ain't gonna win. We're just priced where we're gonna be, but you have that opportunity. You just got to come with some ammo. We got to know why.
Yeah.
Why should we be less?
Yeah.
And they have the tools nowadays. So if you don't come in prepared, don't expect to win. You're just gonna pay what you're gonna pay because we've got a price, to the market to be aggressive.
And just think, man, that guy's making. You say he's making $1,000 a person.
That's wild.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, every
Yeah,
customer that comes in, they pay him $1,000.
He's making $1,000 a person. And see, in my mind, I'm like, man, you know what? I'm gonna keep my 1,000 and go fight myself.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm holding my grand.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna tell you guys, if you pay somebody $1,000 to negotiate at East Carolina, you're wasting 1,000.
That's exactly.
That 1,000 in your pocket because they'll get the same price, no matter what you pay them. Save you 1,000.
exactly right.
So,
Yeah.
and we've had people come in here. We've had people come in here, and we paid. Just got paid $500.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Oh, yeah.
you know, I've had people come in and sit down with a customer and say, "Yeah, I'm gonna negotiate for them," and I give them the price. You can do better than that. And I've had people say, "Well, it didn't do me no good to come here because that's the same price they gave you before I got here." Because we are, it's integrity, and I tell a person,
Right.
you know, I'll tell them, you know, I told a lady one time, I said, you know, she said, well, I'm going to get my friend because you give a man a better price. I said, nah. I said, would you do business with me if I done that? You
Right.
really do business with me? If I gave a man a better price than I gave you?
Yeah.
I said, I wouldn't do business with me.
Right.
And, you know, and she thought about it, man, and she left that day in the car.
Right.
You know. Because we just don't do business that way.
No.
You know, go get your husband and we give him a better price. I don't do business like that. You know, go get your wife and we give her a better price. We just don't do that. We give you the better price. If you give somebody $1,000, that's $1,000 you could have done something else with.
Yeah.
So,
No, I agree. I agree with
so
you.
that's, yeah.
Save your money. Come see us here at East Carolina. I think we're. I heard the ding. We got about 3 more dings before it's time for George to
Yeah. 1 minute, 2 minutes.
Tony, appreciate you coming, man. This has
Enjoyed
really
it, man.
been fun.
Enjoyed
I look forward to the next round again. When we can have you on here. We're going to continue this on. I'm ready for episode 100 to hit. Go keep on going. Look, thanks again. Anybody got anything before we roll? We got 2 minutes before the meeting. 3 minutes.
I'm good. Enjoy.
All right. Thanks, guys. Y'all have a good one. We'll see you next week.
See you.